In every fighting manga, there exist characters that perfectly embodies each of these 7 deadly sins. Best examples are series like Full Metal Alchemist and Nanatsu no Taizai that focuses extremely on this particular concept. One Punch Man, in my opinion, has a lot of characters that could be placed in every category due to the nature of this series, where 99% of its cast focuses on nothing but fighting and seeking absolute power. This would obviously result in many characters indulging in these 7 deadly sins. But before we start, it's important to note that it's very possible that a character could be placed in 2 different sins simultaneously, as it's plausible for someone to be wrathful and prideful at the same time. And with all of this being said, let's now start with the easiest one that could be classified for One Punch Man, which would be lust. Lust can be described as sexual desire, especially if strong or uncontrolled. And to be frankly honest, I initially had 3 characters in mind, with one of them being the obvious choice. These characters are Okama Itachi, Do-S, and clearly Puri Puri Prisoner. However, Okama Itachi only longs for love, and Do-S just wants to control and be dominant over others and doesn't really involve any sexual desire. This leaves Puri Puri Prisoner being the undisputed champion of this sin. I mean, his first introduction clearly says it all. He serves a sentence of eternity because he can't control himself from attacking them handsome boys. He even turned himself in for the purpose of building his own kingdom in prison to do whatever he wants to those poor men. He has crazy lustful means of punishment if they do not follow one of his rules. Clearly the definition of this very category of these 7 deadly sins. Gluttony is the overindulgence and overconsumption of food or drink, and I'm sure the majority of you guys has 2 characters in mind, being the S-Class hero Bug God and the Monster Association executive Gums. Now these 2 characters are very similar in this regard. Eating is what they do most of the time, whether it's food, monsters, or even humans. But the character who I would be choosing to be placed in this category would be in fact Gums. But many of you would say, hold on Yasin, Big God should be the obvious #1 choice. However, something about Big God needs to be addressed. In chapter 159, it's revealed that Bug God needs to eat in order to gather strength to fight, as he literally stated when he is skinny, he cannot make a move, as now he is very weakened. Now there is a clear distinction between wanting to eat and needing to eat, as this sin falls short when understanding that it's not in fact uncontrolled, it's just that he is required to eat to be an effective hero. And for this sole reason, Gums should be the obvious answer. You could say the same thing about Gums, but we don't know if he gets weakened if he doesn't eat, making him the perfect choice for this category. Now, greed is the intense and selfish desire for something, especially wealth, power, and knowledge. And to be frankly honest, the characters I have in mind differs way too much in this particular aspect. Let's take Bofoi for example, who seems greedy when it comes to knowledge and power, as after defeating Boros, he came to collect the remains of the ship solely to improve his technology to make stronger weapons. But being an opportunist doesn't really make you greedy. You could argue that his overall purpose is to help the Hero Association alongside with its heroes such as Metal Bat to improve and gain more strength in the process. You see, we simply don't have enough data to accuse Metal Knight of being greedy. Now what about Psychos, a character that always seeked power in order to destroy mankind, always wanted to gather members and builds a strong team to overcome anyone, but greed isn't what drove her to gather power. It's in fact revealed in chapter 167 that Psycho's whole idea of destroying mankind actually came from God, leaving one, in my opinion, perfect option, which is some of the Hero Association executives, and more specifically McCoy. Now McCoy's greed for money is shown perfectly in both chapter 175 and 187, where he conducts a meeting with one of the Tsukuyomi organization members, all in order to sell Psychos to them without regarding the fact that she was leading the Monster Association, who were major threats to humanity. All they wanted is money, disregarding any consequences that could result from their act. They also conduct a rigged event called Hero Gambling, blackmailing heroes to participate, fighting against monsters, all for the sake of money. If this is not the best choice for greed, I don't know what it is. Envy means painful or resentful awareness of an advantage enjoyed by another, joined with the desire to possess the same advantage. The first character that I'm sure all of you thought about would be obviously Fubuki. But what if I tell you there are other 3 characters who also has the same quality? That would be Bakuzan, Snack, and Death Gatling. Bakuzan, being envious of Sueya's strength, led him to eat the monster cells just to be stronger than him. Snack, being envious of Saitama, led him to wanting to crush him before he surpasses him in ranks. Death Gatling's sense of inferiority to the S-class heroes, both in strength and position, led him to make a remarkably stupid decision to approach the hero hunter Garu without informing the Hero Association or even one S-class hero. And last but not least, Fubuki, being envious of her sister, made her insecure and developed an inferiority complex. She knows that she is well capable of reaching the higher ranks of A-class, but she believes she could never reach the top. However, I would say Death Gatling is the one who deserves this position. Fubuki, in fact, is not envious of characters like King and Blast or even Amai Mask. She just understands her limits to an extent and feels extremely inferior to them. But meeting with the Saitama group is starting to make her realize what's really important, which is being weaker than others doesn't really mean that you are less useful. But Death Gatling's envy of class S heroes affected him in a negative way. Didn't even consider the possibility of a kid being in the building behind Garu, despite meeting other kids just next to that building. All he wanted is to defeat a threat that an S-class hero couldn't, and because of that, Death Gatling trumps all of the other options. Now, sloth for many people just means laziness, but the simple and most logical definition should be the failure to do things that one should do, reluctance to work or make an effort. What this basically means is that you do have the capabilities and the potential to do or make things happen, but you just simply choose not to. And believe me when I say, it was very hard to choose the proper character that signifies this sin, which led me to come up with 4 sloppy characters who are Bofoi, Blast, Watchdog Man, and Saitama. Now, I'll be giving arguments of those who doesn't really qualify. Reason Bofoi is here is because he's absent most of the times, and when it comes to missions that matter, he just doesn't participate. However, it's very unfair to call Bofoi lazy, since this guy had the ability to make the Hero Association strong, and not only did he do it, but he keeps doing it in a consistent rate. Now, Blast, on the other hand, could have stopped every major threat if only he appeared, absent in both the Psycho Orochi fight and the Boros invasion. But in his defense, it's clearly a matter of priority. This guy is literally protecting everyone against a threat that could probably wipe out existence. So in other words, Blast doesn't really fit in this category. Now, Watchdog Man certainly doesn't give a shit about other cities other than the one he is protecting. Doesn't mean the hero is lazy, but he just has a reason why he only stays in that city. When it comes to Q City, he's literally the opposite of laziness, and because of that, I'm pretty sure we'll find out in the future why he doesn't protect other towns, and calling him slothy for that is just clearly unfair. But in my opinion, Saitama is the perfect choice for Sloth. Think about it this way. Imagine if Saitama is just as active as someone as All Might was in the My Hero Academia manga, where the crime rate reduced significantly just because of that. He literally has the speed to be everywhere and the strength to destroy anyone. But you sometimes see things like Saitama wasting his time riding a bicycle to go to the Deep Sea King. This is highlighted in chapter 166, where even Saitama questions if he has the hero's intuition, arriving late for no reason, where everybody died including his disciple and friend Genos. He literally has everything he needs to be in the right place at the right time, but he unfortunately most of the times just doesn't, embodying the real definition of sloth, which is failure to do things that one should do. You see, wrath can be defined as uncontrolled feelings of anger, rage, and even hatred. This sin reveals itself in the wish to seek vengeance. Now, there are 3 characters that everybody should agree they fall in this particular sin. These characters are Amai Mask, Garu, and Tatsumaki. Now, all of us should agree that even though Amai Mask is very edgy and wrathful, he really pales in comparison to Garu and Tatsumaki. However, it is still extremely difficult to choose between the two. Me and my friend Ace Log were talking about it the other day, say, where he chose Garu as his option and I chose Tatsumaki. Both of them works perfectly. Garu has many incidents where he is totally consumed with rage, all in order to exact his punishment on heroes or monsters. Just look at these panels right here where every situation fits the definition of wrath completely, feels rage or anger and obviously seeks revenge. But Tatsumaki, in my opinion, clearly embodies this sin. She is very arrogant, impatient and disrespectful, and it's very easy to make her angry. Janos called her a brat and she slammed him through the rocks without even blinking an eye. People are usually afraid to say anything that rubs her the wrong way, since too little can fuel her anger. Not to mention talking bad or harming her little sister. It literally took a whole fight with Saitama just to calm her down. So whether you choose Garu or Tatsumaki, both should be valid. But personally, I feel like Tatsumaki deserves this spot more than Garu. Now, literally most heroes or even monsters in One Punch Man are prideful, and to narrow it to just one single character that would please everyone is literally impossible. But I'll try to explain as much as possible why I consider certain characters prideful and others not so much. Pride means an excessively high opinion of one's own worth or importance, which gives rise to a feeling or attitude of superiority over others. Now, I'll be listing every individual that I think suits this particular category, and I bet your choice would be on this list. These characters are Darkshine, Flashy Flash, Young Silver Fang, Amai Mask, Tatsumaki, Garu, Atomic Samurai, Boros, Platinum S, Suiryu, Phoenix Man, most of the cadres, and the Deep Sea King. Now, starting with Darkshine, Darkshine's mannerism and how he conducts himself in general screams the sin of pride, as he always talks about himself in a prideful manner. Even I don't know how to scratch myself. There are 4 heroes that shouldn't be angered and one of them is me, Darkshine. When I'm angry, my muscles act on their own. Reminded me of Escanor from the 7 Deadly Sins. However, as I'm sure everybody knows, he got exposed to kinda being a fraud who only put himself in fights he knows he would win. And even without that, his pride is currently shattered due to how Golden S showcased his clear supremacy in every regard Darkshine clearly cares about. Now, Flashy Flash was going to be the best option if he wasn't humbled by characters like Saitama, Platinum S, Garu, Blast and Void. Don't get me wrong, the guy is still very prideful, but not as much as he used to be. Knowing that there are characters that even speed cannot handle, it obviously shattered his sense of superiority, making him the wrong candidate for pride. Same argument goes for Atomic Samurai, Amai Mask, Young Silver Fang, Boros, Tatsumaki, Suiryu, and even Garu, who all got humbled by his superior force. Atomic Samurai thought he is invincible till he met Black S and eventually Platinum S. Amai Mask, pathetically screaming for help, literally goes against pride. Young Silver Fang thought he can defeat anybody until Chad Bomb had to put him at his place. Boros literally gave a big monologue of how superior his race is and that he sits at the top, only to realize that Saitama wasn't actually trying. Tatsumaki being helpless against Saitama made her reconsider her whole life. And Suiryu, never ever lost in his life, thought he is invincible until Goketsu and Bakuzan gave him a beating that made him cry and scream for help. Not to mention how Saitama completely embarrassed Garu in every fighting field. Now, when it comes to Phoenix Man and Platinum S, who both are still alive in a way, I don't think any of them can now be considered as prideful characters, leaving one single character from that list, which is the Deep Sea King. Now, the Deep Sea King is so prideful that he thinks he can rule the whole surface all by himself, which means he believes he stands above all creatures and monsters in this world. Fought 4 characters who he displayed tremendous confidence against. Him explaining how to throw effective punches is a clear indication of how much he takes pride in his own strength. Now, of course, the Deep Sea King isn't as strong as the other candidates, and you can even argue that he eventually got humbled by Saitama. However, would a character be considered humble if he died? Especially in such a fast manner. His heart and mind didn't even process what happened, which means he eventually died prideful. And out of all the characters in One Punch Man, I cannot think of anyone who would be a better candidate in this category. And I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't agree with this, but if you have any argument or any certain character that I maybe forgot, please make sure to mention them in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and don't forget to like and comment to help me with the algorithm. And one last thing before ending the video, if you want me to make the 7 heavenly virtues of One Punch Man video, make sure to suggest it in the comments below. Until next time, please take good care.